Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Mindful of You podcast. This is episode 86, Lessons from Princess Diaries. Okay, folks, we are on episode number 3 that I'm recording today. I was hoping to get 4. I can already tell this is the last one. My voice is giving out on me. I've been sick and it sucks, but it's fine at the same time. My husband was sweet enough to help me get this all set up when he was planning on playing video games with his friends tonight, and he's not a video game guy, but he helped me get it ready. So we're here and we're doing it, and I freaking love this movie. So we're gonna get through it, even if I have to stop and cough a bajillion times. The early 2000s, great movies came out of this era. And I don't say this as like an early 2000s kid. Like I was, because I was born in 99, so I technically was a kid in the early 2000s, but I feel like these are actually my sister's movies. This is like millennial movies. And I know Gen Z loves to judge millennials and vice versa. Also, at the same time, nobody actually cares. But there's some great movies. Like we had Freaky Friday. I watched that recently. Great movie. Ella Enchanted. Great movie. Princess Diaries. Fantastic movie. Is it just Anne Hathaway? Maybe. We love her. But what I didn't remember about this movie is how touching it is. And I think there's a couple reasons for that. When I watched it previously, I probably didn't care that it had touching morals and messages. Also, I am a big blubbery mess the older I get, and everything makes me cry. Tears of like, oh my gosh, I'm so touched. So yeah, there's a lot of factors, but I will say, great movie. I watched the second one, not as good, and I was really mad because I told my husband before we watched it, I said, I feel like this is one of the rare sequels that's just as good as the first, and then I watched it and I was like, never mind, not as good, but still good. The first one just is more cohesive, better. Yeah, anyway, this is not a movie review podcast, even though I should totally have one. That'd be super fun. Okay. So we are talking about lessons from Princess Diaries. I've got 7. I could have come up with probably 5 or 6 more because there's just that many. So first lesson. A good life doesn't have to be aesthetic or fancy. So this is kind of random, but I was just noticing, Mia is not very popular, obviously, at the start of this movie. The place she lives, arguably aesthetic, cute, but not fancy. I definitely not say fancy. Her look, not super aesthetic or fancy. But overall, she seems pretty happy. Like she has her frustrations, and like kids at school are like very not nice to her, which is not cool. And like her life isn't perfect, but she still seems overall pretty happy. And it just kind of made me realize like how much I can overcomplicate things sometimes. And it's just like, you know what, maybe we don't need to do jujitsu to be happy. We can just, be happy and look at what we do have and not so much at what we don't have. So don't feel like your life has to fit a certain aesthetic or vibe or style or whatever to be a good life. My number 2 lesson is friends fight. Mia and her best friend Lily fight quite a bit in this movie. And I remember Lily used to super bug me, and she still does a little bit. Like, she's a little annoying, but I was like, she's so mean, and I don't get why she's acting like this to Mia. It's not even her fault that she's the princess. This is just, her price to lot to bear or whatever, like this isn't even something she asked for. And when I watched it this time, I realized, like Lily actually realizes that and she feels bad. And then Mia is kind of a brat to her, stands her up, which isn't cool, but also you get why, because it's like she's not used to this fancy life. All of a sudden the boy she's always had a crush on likes her, so she stands up her friend, which isn't nice, but it's also understandable. And so I just kind of thought like about the friends I've had for a long time, which isn't a ton, but I have a few, and I'm like, you know what, it's normal to go through ups and downs. It's normal to go through times where you maybe don't get along the best. And so I would encourage you not to give up on friendships if they have rough spots. Okay. Number 3, the people we put on a pedestal are normal or maybe even not that great. So I was thinking about um, the boy that Mia likes. That he's such a boy. I'm trying to remember his name. I know like he and Mia kiss in this like shack or whatever, and then the paparazzi catch them and they come out and they're like, Mia, Mia, and then she runs away and they're like, who are you? And he's like, Josh, I can't remember his last name, and he's just such a boy, and he's also not very nice or interesting or all that great, and Mia has been in love with him for so long, and I'm like, why so just remember, if there's anyone out there that you're putting on a pedestal and you're like, this person has it all together, if I was just their friend, or if they would just notice me, if that was my husband, or you know, if that was my family, or if I was a part of this life, it's probably not all it seems. And even if it is, like, you could still create that in your life in many ways. And so don't wait around for the popular boy to like you, because when he does, you might find out he's kind of weird and not that great. So there you go. Okay. Number 4 lesson. It's okay to change your physical appearance. I thought this one was interesting, but it really did stick out to me because like Mia was not a fan of how she looked. She was getting brushes stuck in her hair. I don't think she was a huge fan of her glasses. I mean, she needed them to see. I don't think she was actively like against how she looked. I don't think she was like, I hate how I look by any means. Or did she think she was ugly? Nor do I think she was ugly before she changed how she looked, or Paolo, I guess, changed how she looked. And I'm not saying anybody has to change their physical appearance unless they want to, but it's also okay to, because this is one of the parts where I don't like Lily, because she's really rude about how beautiful Mia looks. And let's be honest, like, there are things we all wish sometimes look different, or that we could have different. And maybe Mia liked her hair, maybe she didn't. I don't know. I think that her hair was still beautiful, but it seems like she really likes it, how it looks after. And I think that's fine. I think that, like, in a world of acceptance, we become weirdly unaccepting of people who want to change how they look, or heaven forbid, improve how they look in some way. And I think that it's fine if you do, or you want to, as long as you don't feel like you have to, or that you're less than if you don't. If it makes you feel more confident and it makes you feel how you want to feel and how you want your life to look, then awesome. Let's do it and love it. Okay. The next one is being yourself can help you find your tribe. So the reason I wrote this is Mia goes to the dinner party, and she is trying her best to be a princess, but she ends up sticking that whole freaking frozen thing in her mouth, gets brain freeze, is freaking out. But then those people next to her are so sweet, and then they stick too much in their mouths. And then I think she lights something on fire. Bless her heart. But at the end of it all, there's this really funny guy, older gentleman, who just starts giggling and laughing at the whole situation. And I thought about how, you know, if we're just ourselves, flaws and all, somebody's gonna find that amusing or love it or be a part of it. If we avoid who we actually are, pretend to be something else, which we really can't, like Mia proves over and over again, she can't hide who she really is, like, as being princessy. She just tries and fails. I think she just shows that, like, being her true self, she's going to find the people who actually love her and support her and think she's awesome. If we, like, try and blend in or hide the parts of ourselves who make us who we are, we might not find those people who think we're really great. And that's a bummer. So being yourself can help you find your tribe. Okay. Number 6, a sincere apology goes a long way. When Mia stands up Lily at her talk show and has kind of been a jerk, it's really sad. And you're like, you know what? That wasn't cool. And, you know, she does apologize, and she invites Lily to come to her ball dance coronation thing or whatever. And, you know, Lily runs up and hugs her and says, oh, but what will I wear? And I love that part because I'm like, you know what? That's all you can do. Like, we all are human. We're all fallible. We do dumb things sometimes. We say the wrong thing. We do the wrong thing, whatever it may be. And all we can do is say, I'm sorry, you know? And when you mean that, when it's sincere, it comes from your heart, it really does go a really long way. Okay, number 7. This is the last one. I actually sent this quote to my family after because I thought it was so good, and it's been attributed to like a trillion people, so we don't really know who actually said it first, but it says, "Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the judgment that something is more important than fear." This really hit me when I was watching Princess Diaries because I think I was struggling with like the overwhelm from grad school and work. And I was like, you know what? I don't even know if I can handle being a therapist. I don't even know if I can handle being a social worker because I'm just working this cushy job and I'm so stressed, you know, I'm so overwhelmed. And what I was dealing with was fear that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't strong enough, that I wasn't going to do a good job, that I was going to make someone's life worse. Like I was like, you know, spiraling, and I was scared, and I was just like, I can't do this. And I've had moments like that, you know, in different areas of my life where I've been so scared. I bring things back to OCD a lot, but like, the typical thing that can happen with OCD is like we get so scared and we're performing these compulsions or safety behaviors that we don't actually do anything. Like we don't do anything real, you know. It's like because our mind is so consumed with, you know, I'm so scared. What if this happens? What if this happens? Perform compulsion after compulsion after compulsion. And then when we're not, you know, like when it's not actually getting fixed, because compulsions don't fix OCD, like we're just stuck in the OCD cycle and we're spiraling, and that's not fun. And like realizing that facing fear and having courage was like a huge antidote to OCD was a big breakthrough point for me, because I realized, you know, what this quote says, which is courage is not the absence of fear. So I was scared, you know, but rather the judgment that something else is more important than fear. So I sit here looking at grad school and my future career in mental health, but I also look at the shortage of mental health professionals, the shortage of people who want to do this, who can do this, who have the compassion to do this. And I go, you know what? What's more important, the fact that you're scared or the people who need someone to talk to? And it's like, of course you're not going to be good enough at it. Like in your mind, you're never going to measure up, you know, or whatever. And because you're human, it's never going to be perfect outcomes for every client or whatever. And I just kind of had to realize like just because you're scared is not a reason to not do it. And Mia has that realization with, you know, becoming princess, is like, she says something like, how many stupid times a day do I say the word I? And she's like, I'm not as important as the task ahead of me. I'm not as important as all these people in this imaginary country, you know, like that's how I feel about the stuff I'm scared of. I'm like, you know, there's so many things I'm also scared to be a mom one day. Like I'm super scared. Does that mean I'm not going to do it? No, I'm just scared. And, you know, if there's something that's genuinely not important to you, or you make the judgment that, you know, actually, I don't think I need to do that, that's great, whatever. But if something does matter, if something is a part of your values, you want to do it and you're scared, you got to ask yourself, what's more important, my fear or this thing that is calling me? And if you choose the fear every time, life is not going to be what it could be. And so if it can be the thing, life's going to be a lot more interesting and also a lot more scary. And maybe there will be more tears and more range of emotion in our lives, but we're doing something that matters. And so I just loved, like, because I've always heard the first part, like courage is in that absence of fear. And I knew that, but I've never thought about the judgment part of like, oh, like we face the fear because something matters to us. And so it's worth it. So anyway, that's the deep meaning I found behind Princess Diaries. Such a good movie. If you haven't watched it in a while, it's on Disney Plus. You should watch it. It's a great movie. Love Anne Hathaway. Then watch all her movies. She's great. She's always reminded me of my big sister too, so it's fun to watch her and think of my sister. Thank you guys for listening and for caring about my little podcast, my little channel. If you so would like, you can subscribe or leave a nice comment, and I will probably like it or respond because I'm small and I can do that. So thank you guys for listening and have an amazing week. Bye-bye.